Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing playing another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. I'm the host here, Wood. Uh, Got to make this one short today. Got to be into work a little bit early. Look, phenomenal game one last night from the Toronto Raptors. I somewhat had a feeling, and I didn't even mention it yesterday, that similar to Allen Iverson's Philadelphia's 76ers being able to sneak in that first game against the Kobe and Shaq led Lakers back in the day, I had a good feeling that the Raptors would be the game. Warriors coming off a little bit more of a longer layoff in between series, and as hot as they played to take care of, an up and coming team in the Portland Trailblazers, I thought this would be a trap game for them, if you will. Just being used to not having or just being a shock to not having home court advantage in a final. And salute to the Raptors. I mean, they had quite a pregame. 29 Jurassic Parks set up throughout the city, I believe, and they had the fan. I think he's a Sikh. The fan, their super fan. I forget what his name was, but he was on the court, interviewed or participating in the pregame. So they made the most of their moment. Drake with the Dale Curry jersey on, I guess, Raptors jersey, trying to do his best, to contribute to the game or the presentation. I want to say this is just I thought the key would be for them to keep the game below 100 and below, or 103, 105 and below, and maybe they would have a shot. But 118 to 109, they just they stayed close, but could never hit that big spurt that they usually have, and it might have been behind Draymond's 6 turnovers. Nobody else on the team had more than 3. Draymond did have a triple double. Looks like all 10s, 10 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, no offensive rebounds, 0 blocks. Other than that, 34 on a pretty efficient night from Curry. Curry got started early. He had, 2 or 3 threes in the first quarter. So, to see him get off to a hot start, I thought it could be trouble. He like I said, he finishes with 34. Klay Thompson with 21. And big, solid contributions from everybody else, the bench. Everybody on the bench had 6 to 9. One guy had 3. Cousins had 3. And looked like he was a -1. But the star of the show, and I tweeted out a couple of weeks ago that Siahkam, his whole story and what he is and represents for them as an asset is just amazing. But he came through with 32 points on 14 of 17 shooting. 2 of 3 from behind the arc, 2 turnovers, 5 assists, 8 rebounds, 3 offensive. If he's gonna show up to that degree, that's a good way to get this first title for the Six. Toronto. Kawhi Leonard, 23. Somewhat of a solid game for him. 3 of 6 from behind the arc, 10 of 12 from the free throw line, 5 of 14 from the floor, with 8 rebounds and 5 assists. So Marc Gasol showed up, 20 points from him. That it's gonna have to be Siakam and one of the other guys getting it in. Danny Green with 11 points, 3 of 7 from 3-point. Lowry going 1 of 5, 7 points. But he took some important personal fouls in taking charges from Cousins and Draymond Green. So Van Vliet, 15 off the bench. That's how you get that game. That's how they're gonna get games, is with that type of contribution, that team contribution. So shout out to the Raps. Definitely going 6 or 7 games now. Um, Quick thoughts on check out bitedownboxing.com. Threw a little article up on one of the illest rappers in the game, uh, Jadakiss. Jadakiss was at the Beacon Theater yesterday attending the Joshua and Ruiz press conference. I just met this cat a couple of weeks ago when I went to the Jared Hurd and Julian Williams fight. But AB Boxing News, he got an interview in with Jadakiss, and Jadakiss is one of the down to earth, realest guys in the game, and I thought it was interesting to get his commentary on his thoughts on Anthony Joshua coming to the States and having his first fight in New York City. So I put a little article together on that. He also weighed in on the big fight. So check that out for what Jadakiss of the Locks, Rough Rider, Bad Boy, all of that. Like I said, one of the illest with the 16. And behind some of the, for a long time, one of the best features out there, for to go get a guy who was ambidextrous in terms of he could get on some of the trap beats as well as get on the hardest street joints, East Coast songs, as well as some of his collaboration joints with Jay-Z, Fat Joe, back in the day. I mean, he checks all the boxes as an artist. And actually has the perfect song to Wilder. And if I had to do a sound for sound for Wilder and Joshua, he had the joint back in the day. Why? So check that out. Although I forgot to incorporate that into the article at the time. So anyway, please check that out over at bitedownboxing.com to get a word on that. Looking at the presser, it definitely missed the energy, probably the disrespectful nature, the mouthpiece of Big Baby Miller. It was a ceremonious celebration of the arrival of Matchroom Boxing with guys from Sky Sports. I don't know if somebody from the Zone spoke, but it was a very nip and tuck, or it just lacked a lot of, very few theatrics. And I thought Ruiz might have tried to stir it up just a little bit and be firm, but he accepted all of the belts from Joshua. That's one thing that Joshua did put out there, is that he's only a champion until Saturday, or June 1st. And while they fight, he's not the champion. They're fighting for all of the belts. So maybe that was just kind of emblematic of him needing to get into the mode that I have something to lose here. These aren't mine. Here, you can have them, you can hold them, and all of that. I got to go in here and compete for these myself. On an equal or greater level than Ruiz. So maybe it was just symbolic of that train of thought going into this fight. And then we saw the stare down and the face to face. And then my intrigue in this fight kind of dissipated. I think Ruiz is listed as 6'2", 6'3". Joshua is 6'6", and somebody ain't what they say they, what they're being reported to be. Ruiz looked to be about 6 feet or something. I mean, the height difference, the size, all of that is just it's noticeable. And like I said, I kind of I could see Joshua having some issues with trying to get down and bending his knees, bending at the waist, to get his targets together, and everything, and throw punches with confidence, and get him out of there, try to get him out of there, I don't believe he's been knocked down in his career in terms of Ruiz. So, but when I saw that chest to chest or the stare down, got a little less interesting, I have to admit. Before I get on out of here, a word to, there was a Lance Pugmire of the LA Times, an article with Deontay Wilder. I think it was a phone interview between him and Pugmire, and just speaking on why, why not take a moment to speak with Joshua after the fight, at least give it a chance. This is part of my, and it's not only my issue with Deontay Wilder right now. It's a couple of different individuals in the game, and I think they happen to be with PBC right now in terms of Spence, Thurman, and Wilder to a degree. Some of the political stuff, the political vibe that I'm getting from some of these guys. My main issue with it was Wilder said, it doesn't matter who I chose. It doesn't matter who I fight. You're going to still pay to see me because I'm the most exciting fighter in the game. And, you're gonna come check me. You're going to rock with me anyway. It's paraphrasing. And for me, a gross misunderstanding of how this works, my brother. No. I won't pay $75 or $85. I will not contribute to that much in the same way that I passed on Terrence Crawford and Amir Khan. I've been watching this thing for a minute, and I know what's good value for my personal, the way that I follow the sport personally. And for this particular fight right here, I have zero interest in it. And that's kind of becoming that's a lot of hubris, and what happened to any sense of being humble? To tell people I'm gonna do whatever I want, and you gonna be interested. You're going to pay to see it anyway. Nah, that's not really how this works. No. Similarly to Keith Thurman saying, speaking on Spence and saying that won't happen until late 2020. Spence has to go and get his popularity up. Spence was just talking about how popular he is now, coming off of his first pay-per-view with 340,000 buys and whatnot, 48,000 fans, in the gate at Dallas at AT&T Stadium. So who's stumping was better in that situation? Whose was more believable? So like I just said, I think he's feeling himself quite a bit. I think they dropped the ball with him and Ortiz not going face to face at the stare down, in-ring stare down that they tried to orchestrate. And I'm sorry, man. Just you can't. I'm sure, and I'm already seeing it in the social media forums and whatnot. His diehard fans and his core are already supporting have already embraced the rematch and already found ways to justify it. And again, it comes down to, well, you would have justified the Vladimir rematch and blah blah blah. I believe that one had a rematch clause in it, and I didn't really spend much time on it either way, personally. I forget what was going on the other side at that time, so I really won't get into that. But again, if we're gonna go tit for tat, my whole point is, if we're going to go tit for tat, we're never going to get to the fight that we want, because there's always going to be some garbage reason or explanation of why not. But again, just that said a lot to me. I'm sure, but again, I'm sure for the core, for his base, deep-throated approval of that, most likely, in that type of thinking. But it is what it is. So look, man, that's pretty much it. I got to get on this road, get in here so I can get out of there. And supposed to talk to Ahmed Mbiali tonight, try to put a podcast together. Supposed to speak with Ahmed Mbiali, from the PBC. What's he, light heavyweight? working his way back after the run-in with Jean Pascal. Supposed to talk to him tonight, and a cat named Omar Juarez, who only has about 3 fights. So putting that together, a soft yes from unified super lightweight champion Jessica Caskilla McCaskill. See if that happens tomorrow. And then maybe down the road, maybe a live stream call with Mario Barrios. All of that's probably tentative. You know, I was given some yeses, but like I said, can't really. The only one I can probably plan on is Juarez, to be honest with you. But I think Mbiali is a go. So we'll see what happens with that. Let me get on out of here. Of course, I went over my my 10-minute thing. Let me get on the road though. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. And you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great.